The rain had been falling all morning, drumming against the rusted tin roof of the old flea market barn that stood at the edge of town. Inside, the scent of dust, damp wood, and old dreams lingered in the air. Rows of forgotten furniture, chipped crockery, and faded portraits lined the makeshift aisles. At the far end, tucked beneath a torn tarp, sat an old wooden rocking chair, its paint peeled, one armrest missing, and the seat splintered like a forgotten memory. "She's too ugly to sell," muttered Clara, the owner of the stall, as she pushed the tarp off the chair and gave it a half-hearted wipe with a rag. "Even charity won't take her." The chair had sat there for over a year, untouched. Other items came and went, vases, lamps, even a broken radio someone bought for parts, but not this chair. It had once belonged to Clara's grandmother, who used to rock her in it by the fire, whispering lullabies into the hush of midnight. But time had not been kind to the chair, or to Clara. She sighed and looked around at the near-empty barn. Flea markets weren't what they used to be. People bought off apps now. They wanted sleek, polished things, not relics. "Maybe it's time," she whispered to herself. "Maybe I should just burn it." Just then, the front bell jingled faintly. An older man stepped inside, shaking the rain from his coat. He wore a tweed hat and carried a thermos under one arm. His face was kind, lined by years of both laughter and sorrow. He looked around slowly, as if the air here reminded him of something he'd lost a long time ago. Clara glanced up. "Welcome. Anything I can help you find?" He shook his head. "Just looking." He moved slowly, pausing at shelves, touching objects gently, like each one had a soul. When he reached the rocking chair, he stopped. "Now this," he said softly, "this one has stories." Clara snorted. "That ugly thing? She's been sitting there for a year. Even offered her free last month. No takers." He lowered himself beside it, ignoring the creak of his knees. He reached out and ran his fingers along the broken armrest, the way someone might brush the cheek of a long-lost friend. "She reminds me of my wife's chair," he said after a while. "Almost the same shape. Wobbly, ugly thing. But she loved it. Said it fit her like an old song." Clara's smile softened. "Your wife sounds lovely." "She was," he nodded. "Gone 2 years now." A silence settled between them, broken only by the ping of rain on the roof. "I used to sit by her every night while she rocked," he continued. "Even after she got sick and couldn't rock herself anymore, I'd move the chair with my foot, just to keep the rhythm going. She said it helped her remember the good years." Clara swallowed. "That's beautiful." The man stood and stretched. "What's your price?" Clara blinked. "For the chair?" "Yes." "You want to buy it?" "If she'll have me," he smiled. "It's broken. Useless. You'd be better off with a new one." He chuckled. Sometimes broken things just need someone to believe in them. The next time Clara saw the man, nearly 2 months had passed. She was just closing up shop for the day when a van pulled into the lot. The back door slid open, and out came the rocking chair, only it wasn't broken anymore. It had been lovingly restored. The missing armrest had been carved from matching wood. The splinters were smoothed, the seat freshly sanded and stained. Yet the charm of age remained, the slight creak, the worn edges. It looked whole again. Not new. Just proud. "I thought you might want to see her," the man said, stepping out of the van. Clara was speechless. "I brought her back to life in my garage," he said, "a little every day. Gave me something to do. Gave me something to talk to." Clara laughed. She talked back. "Not in words," he smiled. "But in memories." He gestured toward the rocking chair. "Would you like to try her?" Clara hesitated, then sat down gently. The chair moved beneath her like it recognized her weight. As she rocked, a flood of images came rushing back, her grandmother humming softly, the smell of firewood, warm cookies, bedtime stories. Her eyes welled up. "She remembers," she whispered. The man nodded. "Things aren't always too broken to be loved." Word of the chair spread unexpectedly. A young blogger named Jessica had been visiting her aunt in town and stopped by the flea market the day the chair returned. She snapped a few photos and wrote a short piece, "The chair too ugly to sell, and the man who believed in her." The article went viral. People around the country began writing in, asking about the chair, the man, the story. A local news channel picked it up. Soon, Clara's dusty little barn was filled with curious visitors. But something else happened, too. People started bringing in their own broken things. Chairs with one leg. Dishes with cracks. Paintings faded by time. Not to sell, but to donate. They said, maybe someone like that man can fix these too. Clara had never considered herself a restorer. But something had awakened in her. She cleared a section of the barn and began a rescue corner. The widower, whose name was Henry, came by every Wednesday and Sunday, helping fix what he could. They talked, laughed, cried sometimes. It wasn't long before others joined in, a retired carpenter, a teenage girl who loved painting, a single dad who just needed a place to feel useful. The barn transformed. It wasn't just a flea market anymore, it was a sanctuary for second chances. One rainy Saturday, a young woman arrived at the barn. She was in her late 20s, with tired eyes and a nervous smile. In her arms, she carried a cracked porcelain doll. "My mother had this when she was a girl," she said quietly. "I found it in a box after she passed. Everyone told me to throw it away. But when I read about your chair..." Henry stepped forward, offering a gentle nod. "May I?" he asked, reaching for the doll. She handed it over, and something shifted in the room, a quiet reverence. Like everyone understood what this meant. Henry spent the next week repairing the doll, its arm reset, the faded paint touched up with care, the tiny dress sewn anew by a volunteer seamstress. When he returned it, the young woman clutched it to her chest and wept. "You didn't just fix the doll," she whispered. "You gave me back a piece of my mother." Months passed. The barn, now called the Kindness Market, grew into something of a local treasure. Schools brought children to see how broken toys were repaired. Veterans donated old tools and told stories of resilience. People didn't just come to shop anymore. They came to connect, to share, to heal. Henry, once a lonely widower, found himself surrounded by a family he never expected. And Clara, who had once planned to burn the chair, found herself the heart of a movement she never imagined. One evening, as the sun set golden across the fields, Clara and Henry sat on the porch of the barn, side by side in matching rocking chairs. The air was filled with laughter from inside, music from a boy practicing his violin, and the warm scent of cinnamon from a bake sale near the entrance. Clara turned to him. "You know. I think she saved us both." Henry smiled. "She just needed someone to see her for what she could be, not what she was." Clara reached out and touched the chair's armrest. "Like all of us, huh?" Henry nodded. "Exactly." The story of the ugly chair became more than a tale of furniture. It became a metaphor that echoed across small towns, big cities, classrooms, and care homes. It was about the beauty in the broken. The strength in the weathered. The magic in giving someone, or something, a second chance. And in a world often moving too fast, too sharp, too cruel, it reminded people of something simple and powerful. That kindness costs nothing. But it can change everything.